David was tucking his son, Spencer, into bed that night. It was time to read Spencer a book, but he asked if his dad would tell him a story instead. David was a columnist for the local newspaper, but his real passion had always been to write a novel. He liked to make up stories for Spencer, and Spencer often preferred these stories to David reading him books. "Dad, tell me a scary story." "Oh, I don't know, bud. You know your mom doesn't like it when I do." "Come on, Dad. I'm old enough. I won't tell," said Spencer with excitement and anticipation as he settled into bed. "All right, but you have to promise," joked David. "You can't get me in trouble with Mom." "Okay," said Spencer. "I promise." So David began. In every culture, all over the world, and throughout history, there have always been different versions of what some call the Boogeyman. As the tales go, there's a creature who lives under the bed. He cannot be seen in daylight, nor in the darkest of nights. But people have said that they can feel him there, lurking, quietly waiting for the right moment to reach out and take a life. Sometimes a person who can feel him lurking under their bed will quickly and suddenly pull up the covers and be brave enough to look and try and catch a glimpse. But they never can. They can never, ever see him there. The Boogeyman is a being that strikes fear in the heart of children and grown men alike. He's a feeling. He's the hair on the back of your neck. He's the thing that goes bump in the night. He's what wakes you with a start when your covers slowly slip off. The one thing that a person can never, ever do is fall asleep and allow their hand or foot to slide off the bed, because it is then that the Boogeyman can silently, slowly, in the blackness of night, reach up with his cold, black hand and touch you, taking your life with the gnarled fingers of that hand and dragging you back to hell with him. Spencer laughed and told his dad that that was one of his best scary stories yet. David stood up, tucked Spencer's feet in while saying, "You better keep these feet tightly tucked, Spence, or..." And then David began to tickle Spencer, and Spencer yelled, "The Boogeyman will get me!" David laughed, and he kissed his son on the forehead. He turned on Spencer's nightlight and said, "I love you, dude," on the way out. "I love you too, Dad. See you tomorrow." "Sounds good. Sleep tight." David was tired. He decided to shower, maybe catch a little TV, then head off to bed. And as he was watching some show about how to cook with kale, he started to nod off. Finally, he turned the TV off and headed up to bed. When he was under the covers, he suddenly got a chill down his spine, a tingly feeling that then rushed over him. He laughed, thinking that must have been a really good, scary story. Before long, David was asleep. He tossed and turned for a few minutes, and as he did, his foot was on the corner of the bed, and then slowly, it slipped off, just his toes. It didn't wake him. He didn't notice. He was completely unaware when the cold, gray, gnarled hand reached up from under the bed and ran one long, bumpy finger along David's foot. The story in the newspaper, the same one that David had written for, stated that David had died peacefully in his sleep. Spencer wasn't so sure.